the beginning of humanity. Art has been how we express important emotions, share ideas, advocate for change. That means I'm important, right? Maybe I'm not important. I could have been a doctor, a lawyer, anything except this. Why does no one care? Oh my god.
Do not fret, listen well. We are here to bring you back to reality, young catalyst.
So let us begin. Find your voice and rise. Well, what's going on? I'm hallucinating. I have to be hallucinating.
Let's make things a little more interesting.
But how did you do that? Why am I a PNG?
You are not hallucinating. We are here to teach you.
If you do not understand your wealth, we cannot thrive.
We must all work together, including you.
They work together on what exactly?
To make our world a better place, through the most valuable thing in existence.
What Polly means to say is that you must understand your use as a catalyst for change. As an artist, without you, we cannot live.
We disappear without you. You must create. Create for us. Create for knowledge.
For diversity.
For the world.
Annotated bibliography. Our first culture text is by Zahara Al-Zajali, The Significance of Art in Revealing a Culture's Identity and Multiculturalism. This source describes a study done to show how multiculturalism is expressed and shared through both the creation and viewing of art. The study involved 250 people of varying demographics doing questionnaires about their opinions on art and multiculturalism. The study found that the majority of people saw art as a good way to be introduced to other cultures, as well as being a catalyst for communication between cultures. In addition to the study, the author also explores the many impacts art has on society, such as being influential in things like social justice and pointing out injustices in society. Our next culture text is by Sarka Lojova. Can art change the world? On the political dimension of Dante's philosophy of art. This source, the author looks at Arthur C. Dantos, an American critic and philosopher, philosophy in art and activism, and how he believes that art has a big impact on the political and civil world. The author mentions in the abstract that the journal is following Lydia Gower's arguments in her book Red Sea, Red Square, Red Thread, explaining that both the author and Gower are examining Dante's philosophy of a pluralistic art world and his prediction that pluralism in art will cause social and political change. This is kind of what I do. This is kind of my whole thing. Art and political change and culture, that's me. Culture Bear. The Importance of Art Implementation in College General Education by Allison Aziz explains the importance of art as a general skill in college, exploring how art isn't as respected as a field in college and should be respected as one in general education specifically. This is part of what I represent as a intellect fairy, and I definitely agree with Miss Allison that art should be a part of intellect as it helps us learn. Next, we'll be examining Creating Meaning The Importance of Arts, Humanities, and Culture for Critical Thinking Development by Daniela Dumitru. This source examines the significance and utility of art in fostering critical thinking and problem solving. The part of the text that I'm focusing on is titled Critical Thinking and the Arts. In this section, the author discusses the impact of studying the arts on critical thinking and interpretation. The author attributes higher critical thinking skills in artists to the skills necessary to interpret and understand works of art appropriately.
Cartooning, framing, and virtuality. Unraveling the power of political cartoons during the 2023 to 2024 Gaza War. A comparative approach. International communication. The source describes a study done on cartoons and Arab cartoon styles developed during the Gaza War, examining the visual intricacies and rhetoric within this form of art. The journal uses Sonia K. Foss's rhetoric model as a base for the author's own model to see the impact these types of cartoons have on the public. The study shows that cartoons were able to invoke strong emotional reactions, as well as critical or supportive reactions, supporting the idea of art's influence on society. Does activist art have the capacity to raise awareness in audiences? A study on climate change art at the COP21 event in Paris. Psychology of Aesthetics, Creativity, and the Arts. HTTP. The source describes a very specific study done on climate change during the Paris event called Art COP21. The study explores the different variables that affect public perception of art and its effect on their awareness of climate change. The study collected data from 874 guests who had observed certain works of art, giving these subjects a questionnaire to fill out that would describe their reaction to the artwork. From this data, the study grouped the works of art into certain clusters or groups that had similar reactions or materials. The study concluded that the most influential type of art that called more viewers to action was the awesome solution, which included more positive art that glorifies solutions to climate change with bright colors and or positive connotation. The great solution. I like that. Intellect and mouths are overrated. Oh, we're recording. Diana Movchin et al. Cartoons in genre spectrum of political discourse. This source, rather than answering the question of whether cartoons have political influence, describes how cartoons influence the political climate. The source goes in the mechanics of cartoons and how they appeal to the human mind, and therefore also affect political discourse. Using multimodal analysis, a study was done to determine these effects of cartoons, determining that the variables irony, sarcasm, hyperbole, metaphor, and symbol are all integral factors that contribute to the effects cartoons have on political discourse and the overall audience. The author concludes that cartoons that utilize these types of rhetoric are an effective tool for things like propaganda, aiding in political discourse, and therefore affecting society and culture.
That was a great job. Thanks, Politics Bird.
Philineko et al. Public art as a driver of change, exploring its socio-political impact in the modern era. Revisita Amazonia Investiga. The source describes study and research done on public art and public art installations, analyzing what impact they have, the difference in impact they might have in correlation to culture, and how modern public art is a direct result of current social and political climate. The study and research done for this journal were described as a descriptive methodology, including including descriptive literature analysis, visual and document analysis, historical and comparative analysis. Additionally, impact indicators were used and proved the impact of public art mainly through the impact of education and awareness, the highest impact indicators of the study. The study concluded that public art is integral to social political transformations.
Finally, we'll be talking about art and brain, insights from neuropsychology, biology, and evolution by Dalia Zeidel. The source goes even deeper into the psychology and neurology of art's effect on humans, attributing certain linguistic and social developments in humans to art. The source connects the idea of attracting a mate in nature to art, explaining how things like hormones and aesthetics, things animals have developed to find mates, are also utilized in art. The source also examines other studies done that researched how brain damage affected a person's art, connecting what parts of the brain might control our perception or creation of art in accordance with the effect of brain damage.
Okay, that's it. What did you learn? What did we learn?
So, what's the moral of the story? That art is important, that art changes people, it changes the world. Even if you might think your art doesn't matter, it can have a profound effect on anyone. It can even have a profound effect on everyone who sees it. Art influences us, it influences our politics and our culture. You become very cultured when you do art.
Making artistic things like this.
I got that from culture. Culture is very cultured.
Culture bear.
Yeah.
Culture bear, politics bird, and intellect bunny. Those are the creations. That's what we must learn from. Bye.